October 14th, 2011. At exactly 2:17 a.m., a 911 call came in from a house in Springfield. But the most disturbing part wasn't the panic in the caller's voice. It was this. When the police arrived, they confirmed that the caller had already been dead for over an hour. On that cold night, 28-year-old Daniel Harper was home alone in his newly rented house on the quiet edge of town. The neighborhood barely made a sound. No traffic, no late-night voices, just silence that felt heavier than usual. At first, everything seemed normal, but within a few nights, Daniel started hearing footsteps every night around 2 a.m. Slow, dragging sounds coming from the hallway, as if someone was walking barefoot just outside his room. He tried to ignore it, convincing himself it was just the house settling, until one night the footsteps stopped right outside his bedroom door. And then came 3 slow knocks. Daniel froze. He called out, but there was no answer. When he finally opened the door, the hallway was empty, yet he could still hear something moving away in the darkness. The next day, Daniel spoke to his neighbor, Mrs. Collins, an elderly woman who had lived there for years. At first, she avoided the question, but eventually she told him something unsettling, that people never stayed in that house for long. A year earlier, a man named Victor Langley had lived there, and one night, he called 911, screaming that someone was inside his house. But when the police arrived, they found Victor dead in his living room. No signs of forced entry, no evidence of anyone else being there, as if whatever he saw simply vanished. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. At exactly 2:17 a.m., his phone rang. The number was unknown. When he answered, all he heard was heavy breathing, followed by a distorted whisper that said, "Leave before it sees you." The call ended abruptly, and when Daniel checked his phone, the number didn't exist. No call log, no trace, nothing. The following night, the footsteps returned, louder this time, closer than ever before. Daniel grabbed his phone and began recording as he slowly stepped into the hallway. The air felt unnaturally cold, and at the far end, he saw it. A tall, shadowy figure standing completely still, watching him. Terrified, Daniel ran back into his room and locked the door. His hands shaking, he dialed 911, desperately telling the operator that someone was inside his house. The operator tried to calm him, assuring him that help was on the way, but then something changed. Daniel's voice suddenly became quiet, almost emotionless, as he whispered, "They're too late," and the call cut off. When the police arrived just minutes later, the house was still locked from the inside. There were no signs of forced entry. They broke in and found Daniel lying on the floor of his bedroom, dead. There were no injuries, no struggle, just a look of pure terror frozen on his face. But when investigators reviewed the 911 recording, they discovered something far more disturbing. In the background of the call, behind Daniel's voice, there was another sound, a second voice, faint, whispering the same words over and over again. "I'm still here." And even today, every year on October 14th, at exactly 2:17 a.m., the police department in Springfield receives a call from that same house. No caller ID, no traceable number, just silence and the sound of breathing. So if you ever receive a call from a number that doesn't exist, don't answer.